The global pandemic ushered in mass lockdowns along with what seemed like near universal vaccine mandates. Most private, federal, and state agencies all mandated the vaccine, including the United States military. Our next guest resigned from his post as lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army due to the mandate, and we're happy to have him on to share his story. Lieutenant Colonel Bradley Miller, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to talk with you.
Absolutely, Colonel. A lot of people might not realize, but the aftermath of the vaccine mandates persists, affecting so many lives, you being one of them. Despite data showing that the vaccine does not stop the spread of the coronavirus, you, Lieutenant Colonel, were a battalion commander, have been forced to resign from your post because of the mandate. If you could, tell us your story.
Yeah, so that's true. So I, former lieutenant colonel in the Army. I did resign from the Army after 19 years and 3 months of service. So I did not quite make it to 20. And I resigned after I saw what the DoD leadership was doing with the vaccine mandate. And that was immediately after having been relieved of command. So I was relieved of command in October of 2021, 2 months after the implementation of the vaccine mandate.
And if I could ask you, could you have or did you apply for a religious exemption?
I did not. I was a hard refusal, not because I do not have extreme religious objections to these injections. I do, but in my mind, and this is my particular view. Not everyone else holds this, but in my mind, having a religious objection, in my mind, would almost be to concede that the shots are safe or to concede that the shots are effective. Neither of which I'm willing to concede. So for me, it was not just a matter of the research or the development that went into the production of the shots, but I also just won't concede that they're safe or effective. So for me, even getting to the point where I was willing to entertain some sort of exception was a non-starter for me. The other thing is that I did not want an exception for myself. I was against this mandate from 0 to 100. I want it rescinded wholesale. I still want it rescinded wholesale. At no time was I looking for an exception for myself.
So just back to your first point, when you resigned, you said you were just shy of 20 years. Do you still get your full benefit package and everything that you should?
No, I did not retire. I resigned. I'm not a lieutenant colonel retired. I'm a former lieutenant colonel, and I like to say that I'm happily resigned, and I'll explain why. So yes, I gave up my command. I gave up my career. I gave up my retirement pension, but I still think I came out a winner because after 19 years of service, I left the Army with my integrity intact and my oath to the Constitution unbroken.
Wow, that's really incredible. There's been a lot of talk and concern of the term wokeness in the military. Do you attribute your challenges, pushing back on the vaccine mandate to the so-called wokeness in the military?
Yes and no. I don't think that the vaccine mandate is a direct outgrowth of the wokeness, but I think the two are related. And I think they're both products of a long-standing cultural malaise that is extant in the military and also in society at large. And so what I think that we're seeing in the military is just a reflection of what we're seeing right now in our American institutions.
Now, the former president, in his announcement for his next presidential bid, former President Trump said if reelected, he would reinstate all members of the military forced out because of the mandates. What's your opinion to that stance, reaction, and would you return?
So I think that's the only correct action that could be taken. And I also would say merely reinstating those who are forced out one way or another is not enough. There needs to be substantial compensation. Also, there needs to be accountability for those who perpetrated this malpractice, this misconduct against not just DoD, but also the nation at large. Would I return? That's a great question, and I can't give a definitive yes or no, but I can give a probably not. And that's because what we're seeing here is it's not a singular event. It's the product of the corrosion of institutions over a very long period of time. And while I have nothing against the armed forces, I have nothing against them as an institution. I'm proud to have served for 19 years. I'm proud to be a West Point graduate. But the people that have thoroughly captured these institutions have completely corrupted them. I don't know that I could return without wholesale realignment of DOD's priorities.
Former Lieutenant Colonel Bradley Miller, thank you.
Thank you.
America's